Did I know that there was a Superman in the Turtles universe? Like, is that like a established aspect of the lore that I just never encountered or forgotten about? 'Cause I had no idea that this Silver Sentry guy existed before watching this episode. And yes, you heard me right. There's a Superman in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles universe. Which, brings up the same problem that introducing a Superman to your universe always brings up. Especially once your main characters who do not have the powers of a Superman befriend the Superman. Because then anytime that there's some massive threat happening, you are left asking the question, why don't they just call up Superman? I personally refer to this as the Kara conundrum, because of the Arrowverse, the post-crisis Arrowverse. After the character of Supergirl was moved into the Prime Arrowverse universe, she's already friends with the other main characters of the other Arrowverse shows, and she's already been shown teaming up with them before. So, like, when they encounter a problem that it would only take one additional Superman to deal with instantly, but it's over the heads of the regular hero, it eventually stops making sense that they just never call her up. And by the end of this episode, Michelangelo is friends with this XP for Superman. So, like, every time after this that, like, Shredder shows up or whatever, you have to wonder, why doesn't he just call up his Superman friend to come and just curb stomp that guy? And like, the only satisfactory answer eventually becomes pride? And that just leaves your heroes looking bad, man. It's why the Snyderverse movies making Metropolis and Gotham, like, exist right next to each other was just stupid. Because why doesn't Superman patrol Gotham then? And if he did, why would you need Batman? Like, there's an argument that Superman can do so much so quickly that you wouldn't need Batman anyway, but, like, putting their cities right next to each other just exacerbates the problem. What I'm describing is admittedly a less serious version of that, but it's still that. I also have to question, if there's costumed heroes in this world who are well established, then why does everyone who sees the turtles just assume that they're actual turtles and not guys in superhero costumes? Like, we see this persist even once Michelangelo is wearing a legit superhero costume that's themed around a turtle. At which point you would assume people would see him and think he was just some guy trying to be a turtle-themed superhero wearing a turtle costume, but they still call him a weird freak. It raises a lot of questions. That said, after the very heavy previous couple of episodes, we needed a fun palate cleanser, and if you overlook those admittedly very nitpicky things, this serves as that. The primary conceit of this episode is that Michelangelo thinks that he and his brothers should actually actively go out and patrol the city and help people. But in his mind, he associates that with they would then be more accepted by people and wouldn't have to hide all the time. So he's approaching this from the wrong angle. He wants to dress up in a costume and go out on patrol like a comic book superhero. And that's just not who he is or what he's good at. Like, we do see that some of his ninja skills do translate to his superhero persona, but trying to keep to that superhero persona limits him in ways that if he had continued to be limited, he would not have been able to stop the threat of this episode. And also, introducing this desire of Michelangelo's to go out and help people actively introduces that dynamic to these characters who up to this point have just kind of been guys living their lives, right? Like, there are certainly versions of the Turtles who actively go out on patrol and try to help people as much as they can. These Turtles are not those people yet. But giving Mikey this desire to help people, which persists even once he admits that he should remain more hidden than the typical costumed hero, it opens the door to them doing that. It's a good way to kind of make that transition. even if I do think the other turtles are very unfairly harsh in this. Like, they are just real mean about just the idea of them going out and, like, looking for people to help. Like, granted, when there's a fire, they, like, all run to see if they can help with the fire and only don't because they realize the situation is under control. And that happens immediately after they make fun of Mikey. So it's not like they're actually opposed to it. They're just brothers being brothers. But it was not a good look for them, really. I do, however, really like Splinter here, though. He never discourages Mikey from actually going out and helping people. He just wants him to be best sure of how to do that. And thinks that the best way he can do that is by being true to who he is and what he's good at, which is being a ninja. And that's what he ends up taking away from the whole situation. That he's best able to help people as a ninja with his full suite of ninja skills. And in terms of this being a comic book superhero plot kind of episode, I really liked a lot of the stuff they did here. I really liked the Silver Sentry's nemesis, who is the primary antagonist of this episode. I thought he was a genuinely cool character with a good look, a nice presence. His plot was neat. And I even liked how they worked in, like, Silver Sentry just doesn't, like, he gets mind controlled, right? He doesn't just immediately curb stomp Mikey because this guy is controlling him, which would naturally limit the ways he's able to move his body and call on his full powers. And, like, he can't use the Silver Sentry's super senses because he's watching through the Silver Sentry's eyes. It's his senses, not Silver Sentry's, that are looking out upon the world through Silver Sentry. So he can't just, like, X-ray vision where Mikey is, and Mikey is able to get off ninja stealth stuff. Like, in any kind of situation like this where you're pitting a Superman against a character who does not have Superman powers, you have to limit Superman or else boost the other guy to the point that they aren't even really themselves anymore, and it becomes that much less interesting. And whether it was intentional or not, it's entirely believable that in this situation, the Superman character would be limited enough that his defeat is plausible. I also did like the superhero antics in this. I thought Mikey doing superhero stuff and being just a little bad at it was really fun. Because, like, he is a very skilled person physically, but this isn't the kind of stuff he's used to doing, so it makes sense that he'd fumble it a little bit. And I really like his Turtle Titan costume. I think it looks great. I know it's probably supposed to look kind of silly, but, like, I thought it looked great. The logo was simple, but, like, minimalist. I liked that his cape and cowl was very much felt like an extension of the masks that the turtles already wear. And I liked his turtle shell shield thing that was just a slightly different color than his actual skin, because it's clearly just like a metal plate that he and April, because she helped him make his costume, hammered into the shape of a turtle shell and then painted to look like part of his body, and they just got the color matching a little wrong. There was something charming about it. And I, like, even though the lesson here was, you know, be a ninja first, I actually kind of hope we see Turtle Titan again, because I just really like the design. Overall, though, there's not much more to say about this episode. I thought Splinter was appropriately wise here. I liked that it was a Mikey-focused episode where he learns a cool lesson, be true to yourself, like, expanded within the context of this universe to the best way to help people is by being a ninja. Like, you could take it to be the best way to do the most good in your life is to be true to who you are. Something like that, you know. Good message, good lesson. I liked it a lot. The action was solid. And while it was tropey as hell, it was fun to see these characters play out. Well, this character, I guess, technically, because Mikey was really the only regular character who participated here, playing out a regular tropey comic book superhero kind of story. It was a nice dynamic that this show doesn't usually touch on, I would assume. It was simple, but effective, and exactly the kind of thing, the kind of story that we needed after something so heavy as the last couple weeks. Oh, I also liked the callback at the start of this one that they were up on the surface to begin with because they were practicing their way of invisibility. Real simple. Could have been anything else, but I liked that they chose to give us a neat callback there, especially considering the lesson that Mikey had to learn by the end of the episode. It just fit really well. Like this, I think this whole story just came together very well. All that said, though, guys, what did you think of? Did I give the title of this one yet? It's the Unconvincing Turtle Titan. Well, what do you guys think of this episode if you have seen it? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, you might as well like the video, share it with anyone else you think would enjoy my content, subscribe if you haven't. You can also check out the video description where there's links to my various social medias, as well as a link to where you can pick up my first trilogy of novels, all three of which are currently available. Seriously, I think if you like the kind of stuff I like, you'll like them. In the meantime, though, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.